Hello, friends out there in YouTube land. This is Robert Hamm coming to you again with another morning meeting. I've got my cup of coffee. Today is Gold Coast, and today I thought I'd talk a little bit about success. There's lots of ideas of what success is. I'll explain to you what I think success is, and I'll let you know real quickly that I think success has more to do with what you feel in here than what you see out there. For me personally, I came to the photography world out of necessity because it was something that I did well and that I enjoyed, but I also needed to make some money because I decided to change my lifestyle when my father passed away. So that's a big deal, right? So I went from a corporate job where I was managing network and chain pharmacy routes and deliveries, and it was a pretty big job, to to a lot of nothing really. So I had to find a way to make some money, but also be able to stay home and homeschool my son in a way that made sense for the family. Luckily, my sweetheart has really just pulled up the britches and done her job as well, better than anything that could have ever been asked of her, because it's been tough on the family, as you would think. So if you would have asked me 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago what success was, I would have told you maybe climbing the corporate ladder. I've got 2 degrees, one in statistical analysis, one in business administration, and so I was definitely on that path to climb, climb, climb. If you ask me today what success is, it looks completely different because today's success is seeing my son happy, being able to function properly, as well as learn, but also be able to take the time to go down to the beach and do really whatever it is that I want to do, play the guitar or sing or take some photos and really just enjoy myself. Would I have been better off money wise? Yes. If I had stayed with the corporate job, absolutely. I had a great income. My quality of life was different. I had a house in Virginia Beach that I was maintaining with my sweetheart, and I had a residence up in Mass that I was maintaining, just renting. And so you can figure, that was pretty nice. But I was also 260 pounds on the road all the time, and had gotten away from a lot of the things that I really enjoyed. So the point here is success is in your mind. It's in your framework of how you think about it. I am not a type of person that thinks the grass is greener on the other side. Never have been. I generally view myself as very pragmatic, but a bit of a risk taker. I don't mind a little gamble every once in a while in order for some payoff in the end. Just like with photography or anything else. It's a bit of a gamble. The photography I have found is the quickest way to get rich slowly. Right? You don't make a lot of money with it quickly. But you do begin to establish yourself over time, and that creates a reputation. The reason that's important is because the prices that I was charging 5 years ago that I was able to receive for my services are completely different than what I'm able to receive today. So today I'm able to live a better life off of my photography, but also do a better job with my photography. So success in that respect has come with knowledge and experience. Remember, photography is not a profession. Being a doctor or a lawyer, things that require degrees generally are professions. Things that require experience or skill without degrees are generally trades or arts, like performing arts, or not to say you couldn't have a degree in any of it. All I'm trying to do is make a general distinction that there are very few barriers to entry for calling yourself a photographer. And what that means is that being successful as a photographer is more difficult today because there are so many people that may think they can go out and just get a camera and start taking photos. When everything was film, no, you didn't have that so much because you'd spend a lot of money with terrible portraits until you figured out how to take portraits with film because you had to pay for developing. Today, it's much easier. You get a camera, an SD card, and you're up and running. So I guess really the point that I'm making here as I'm transitioning the conversation and our dialogue from success about your financial and your living state to success in your craft, specific to photography, I think is shutter clicks. Okay? And I mean that quite literally. I don't know that I would think you really have a grasp of your camera and its functionality until you have explored the camera for at least 10,000, 15,000 actuations of that shutter button. You need to take 10,000, 15,000 photos. One of my friends was recanting a story to me the other day. He's a manager at Best Buy, and he was retelling a story of a lady that came in over the weekend and bought an A6300, and because of, great, spent $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, got the A6300 and a lens. She came back on Monday and was mad because it didn't take great photos. Think about this a second. It didn't take great photos. The camera didn't take great photos. The problem was her mindset. She ran off about 500 pictures on over the weekend, and that was it. And that you don't even have any comprehension of what you're doing at 500 photos. If you're a complete newbie, if you're completely new to photography, and just because you take pictures with your iPhone or your camera phone, that's not the same kind of photography. True, it is photography. Nothing, not knocking it. What I'm saying is, it doesn't teach you the understanding of exposure and how to manipulate those things manually. It doesn't teach you anything about the exposure triangle between ISO, aperture, shutter speed. It teaches none of those things. So you find yourself left wanting. So what ends up happening is people buy cameras, and cameras now are so intelligent, specifically the mirrorless cameras, with their eye detection and their ability to understand the scene. Sony's scene modes, intelligent auto modes are very, very, very good at recognizing faces even in profile, understanding where the eye is. So my point here is the cameras are able to make good decisions, but not always great decisions, but good decisions. So someone could buy a camera and go out and start charging for portraits and not really have a good working understanding of what they're doing. They're letting the camera do all the work. And I think that's where most people are when they think about photography and they think about success. They think, I can get a camera and I can start taking these great pictures and everything, and then they kind of get a real quick running start and then fall off a cliff. And that cliff is the cliff of maybe mediocre work, maybe kind of some start-stop work. Who knows? I guess it could take off if they're adept at their skill or their craft. Remember, doesn't require anything other than experience. You have to shoot the pictures until you understand how to shoot the pictures and make the portraits. But let's transition from there once again. Let's say you've gone out and you've shot enough photos so that you have an understanding of what exposure and everything is. Well, the minute you change the lens on your camera or use a different camera, that knowledge didn't go away. But the particular idiosyncrasies of the camera that you're using have now changed because you're using a different camera. Maybe not between copy and copy of the same camera make and model, but definitely between brand of cameras. Absolutely. And even generational changes with cameras, specifically like the X100, X100S, X100T, those any kind of generational gains. So again, here is when you would want to go out and begin to master the craft of using that camera by taking photos. When I get a new camera, I carry it around with me everywhere, and I take pictures with it everywhere. And I literally mean everywhere. Here's 2 reasons I do that. The first one is I need to take pictures with the camera. I need to. If you're a photographer, you want to make money, there's no reason you shouldn't be taking portraits, even casual portraits, everywhere you go. It keeps your mind sharp when thinking about your portraiture. Sure, you could be doing it for 40 years and say, I don't just photograph a wedding, and I don't even need to touch my camera in between. Nah, buddy, that's not the case. You should keep your camera with you. If for no other reason than by staying quick and sharp with your material and your tools. The second reason is if you are in the business of being a portrait photographer and you have your camera with you, that's a type of advertising. It helps people recognize you as a photographer, and they may engage you about that I shoot with Fuji cameras because I enjoy the Fuji cameras. I like the rangefinder style, specifically of the X Pro series. Although I have the X Pro 1, the XT1, the X100S. My favorite camera out of all of them, hands down, X100S. I take that camera with me everywhere. I love that camera. I love it. However, one other thing I like about the cameras in general is that they have a very classic look to them, so people are always interested in them. Sorry, guys. Call came in. So I'm always interested. People are always interested in the cameras. Okay? So I get a lot of people asking me questions. Another nice thing is, if you have someone that you're engaging with and you ask them to take a portrait of their family or whatever, let's say you're at a park. You know, I'm a dad. I go to the park with my son. We're playing around. I got 2 kids. We're out there playing. I meet other parents. You know, it's very easy for me to hand them a card and say, hey, how would you like for me to email you a photo? Let me take a picture of your family real quick. That right there, that gesture, is so important to people because they're so used to this. I'm recording on a phone. They're so used to camera pictures on a phone, right? That's what they think a photo is. When you begin to master your craft and when you're good at taking a portrait, man, when you send them a photo, it's amazing because it's unlike anything they've received. So those are 2 reasons. Those are pro tips for why to carry your camera with you all the time. And I literally mean all the time. When I leave the house, my X100S or XT1 or X Pro 1 is with me. Unless I'm doing something that would not behoove me to take a camera. Like if I'm going to plant some flowers or if I'm going to go and build something. If I'm going, just something that would just be inappropriate. If I'm going to the pool, I may not take those cameras. I might take the XT1. It's weather sealed, so I don't mind getting some splashes on it. But you get my point. So we're going to finalize this conversation today about success by saying success is what you make of it, and that's very important. So if you want to be successful at anything, right, you should shoot high, right, aim high, right, but also think about your craft in such a way, or whatever you were trying to attain, in such a way that you can incrementally achieve it. The overnight rags to riches stories don't happen very often. That's not very often. So that means that you have to be willing to put in the effort to make it work. If you're a portrait photographer, which is what we're really talking about here, portrait or wedding photographer, then you should recognize that a good path to start would be to begin advertising your business with a website and cards, specifically through Facebook, even Flickr, other mediums like Twitter and YouTube. Start putting the information out there. Start making little videos and talking about your technique and engaging in a dialogue. Okay, that's going to help quite a bit. But that doesn't mean you have to listen to everybody on the forums. In fact, I would stay away from APA groups, or I would stay away from anybody that's trying to sell you a degree to become a photographer. You don't need it. What you do need is just some good advice. And you can find good advice free from people like Jason Lanier, Tony Northrup, Greg Cazillo, Matt Granger, that Nikon guy, the Fuji guys, Martine Hilberton. These guys have been there, done that, and they produce a quality video product that's happy to teach you right here and right now to help you with your photography that you don't need to purchase. And my point is, the best advice is always free. So you want to learn about cameras? Check out Martine's exposés. Check out his overviews. You want to learn about taking photos? Check out Tony Northrup's Do You Need a Filter? You know, does that little filter really protect it? Want to understand ISO better? Definitely check out Tony Northrup's ISO videos. You want to understand photographing people on the street everywhere in the world? Check out Zach Arias. Check out Matt Granger. Check out Greg Cazillo, specifically if you want to have great portrait teardowns. And you know what? I even like Jared Poland, that Fro Knows Photo. The guy's a little bit off the wall, but I like his style. So these are people that have helped teach me, and they don't even know me. I've never even met them, but I've learned a lot about photography from them. And my suggestion is that you go check them out, find the people that you enjoy, and learn about the types of things that they're trying to help you with. That's going to be your number one. Oh, and check out AK Nacer, Aaron Nacer for Flern. Oh my God, I love that guy. He is a master at Photoshop. He is a Photoshop guru, and out of everybody, if I could meet one person, it would be Aaron Nace. I would love to meet that guy. That guy is that's the type of guy I would like to work with. You know, that's I like that guy. Anyways, I'd like to work with all of them at some point. It never will happen just because, our circles are different. But my favorite's AK Nacer. Anyways, guys, this is Robert Hamm with Robert Hamm Photography. My point today was talk about just success, what that means, and to help us frame success in our minds so that we're not always trying to look over the hill, but we're keeping it closer to home. We're playing our cards closer to the chest so that we can be more happy with our own results. That's really what it comes from. Remember, incremental steps are going to get us there a lot faster. And photography is the quickest way to get rich slowly. Okay? So, anyways, once again, Robert Hamm with Robert Hamm Photography. Catch me on Twitter at RobHammPhoto. You can find me on both Facebook and YouTube at /Robert Hamm Photography. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave your comments down below. And I'll see you next time for the morning meeting. That was obnoxious, wasn't it?